prejudice. Wrote a song about it. Like to hear it? Here it goes. Free your mind.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me tonight here on Off Limits as we talk tonight about the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman verdict and more, actually, in regards to this topic. So if you want to call in during the show, you can call in at 323-843-6160, and I'm happy to talk to you and hear your part of or your thoughts on this case. So as you know, today the verdict for George Zimmerman was not guilty. And I actually expected it to be not guilty because that is what most legal analysts had said and most people in the media had said. And the reason that they said it would probably be not guilty is because they said that there was no evidence. I don't agree with there not being any evidence of what happened, but the main reason that they had to find him actually not guilty was because they said that there was reasonable doubt as to whether or not George Zimmerman was defending himself or whether he was just attacking the guy. Obviously, anybody with a brain, if you look at it from the bigger picture, it's obvious that the guy was stalking him and was going after him and had every intention of harming him, most likely, if he could. He had a history of doing this. He had a history of toting a gun and trying to be a cop. He had 2 failed attempts at being a cop before, and he had this desire to do something of this nature. It's obvious from his history, if you read about what he's done in his life and what he hasn't, and what he hasn't accomplished, and what he's been trying to do all for so long, and has failed at doing. And so this little post he had as a neighborhood watch person, where he was toting a gun, which was not part of that post, was an opportunity for him to feel important, to feel as if he had power or control, and to inflict justice upon someone that he himself felt deserved it. So it's very obvious to a thinking person what really happened that night. And it is completely unimportant as to whether Trayvon Martin or George Zimmerman were on top when the gun went off. It's completely unimportant as to whether Trayvon Martin was a drug user or was even on drugs at the time, which he wasn't, as was proven by the levels of THC or whatever in his blood, that he wasn't high at the moment, and didn't have a gun, didn't have any kind of weapon on him. He was simply walking through his father's complex to his father's apartment or condo or whatever, and was attacked by somebody else who said he shouldn't be there. So it really honestly is not, there's no question to me that George Zimmerman is guilty of murder, in my opinion. He should have been found guilty of murder. He should not have been found guilty. Not guilty at all. They had 3 choices to make. They could claim that it was second-degree murder, or it was manslaughter, or that he was not guilty, and they decided to say that he was not guilty. And I'm really, honestly, if I were sitting on that jury, this is the other part of it, though, as well. I understand there's a difference between what is legally acceptable and what is ethically acceptable. And that's a hard pill to swallow in this case specifically, because to me, the law should always be also ethical and should also rule on the side of ethics. However, it doesn't, as you well have seen here in this case. In this case, we have an instance where what happened to Trayvon Martin was completely unethical. What George Zimmerman did to him and how he pursued him and how he went about pursuing him when he was instructed not to by the authorities is unethical. The fact that he murdered him because he felt threatened or whatever, because he pursued him, maybe perhaps Trayvon Martin was defending himself, decided to kill the guy. Whether it was self-defense or not, he should not have pursued him in the first place. So that to me makes this completely unethical. However, what is correct for the law, unfortunately, is not the same as what is ethically correct. And under the law in that fucking retarded state of Florida, you have the stand your ground law, and you can protect yourself if you feel you're being threatened. In almost any instant, any situation almost. And typically, it's really more about your own home and protecting yourself in your own home or your own person or whatever. But even when it comes to this type of situation, it applies. And so we have someone under the law that was seen to have been protecting himself and to have been seen to have fallen under the law, the stand your ground law or whatever. So because of that, legally, he was found not guilty. And that's how the jury was instructed to vote, based on the law and what the law says, not what they felt personally. I myself, as I started to say a moment ago, would have had an incredibly, incredibly difficult time. I don't think I could have. I would have had to have been excused from the jury. I would not have been able to have given my vote for not guilty for this man. At the very least, I would have absolutely have said it has to be manslaughter. It cannot be. He cannot get off scot-free for what he did, because we all know he killed him, right? He killed him. So what is manslaughter? Manslaughter is murdering someone by mistake or accident or whatever, and without a premeditation or whatever. So that could possibly be the case. Even if that was the case, I still think the man should have gone to prison and he should have been punished. But unfortunately, he's being allowed to just walk away scot-free from what he did to this kid, essentially, Trayvon Martin. And so if I had been on that jury, there's no way in hell that I would have said this man is innocent or this man is not guilty. I don't give a shit what the fucking law says. The law says you have to find him not guilty. I would have said, sorry, judge, can't do it. Just can't. Sorry, you're going to hold me in contempt, put me in prison, jail for a week or whatever. Fine. But I cannot in good conscience allow this fucking asshole who pursued this kid and racially profiled him to get off without punishment at all. When I know, as well as everybody else in this fucking jury knows, that this man is guilty of murder or manslaughter, however you look at it. He is not by any means innocent. And so to allow that man to walk free is just, I don't know, it's really, truly is the epitome, it is a travesty of justice for the fact that this man got away with it. Now, having said that, am I surprised? No. I am not surprised. In this day and age today, we are living in a country that is incredibly racially volatile. I'm almost getting to the point, I think it's honestly, for me, this is how I see it. The United States, we had slavery, we had the horrible institution of slavery, and after slavery, we had, Reconstruction period and Civil War and everything, and then we had the turn of the century when people began to fight for their rights under the law in the 50s and 60s, and finally African Americans got those rights, at least under the law anyway, as well as women and other people, and gay people are trying to get our rights as well now. But the thing is this, in the 60s it was a volatile time because you had a time of such strife and such disparity between the white culture and the counterculture, if you want to call it that. And the whites felt like they were losing their control and their power that they'd had the country for hundreds of years. And they didn't want black people to take away their rights. And that's how they felt. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That's how they felt, I'm sure. And so is that right? No, but that's how they felt. And the black people wanted to have equality that they should have had from the first moment they stepped on the shore here when they drug over here against their will. So to have that kind of conflict of opinion and conflict of objectives between these two camps of people in the 60s. That's why there was so much strife and so much there were assassinations because of race. There was a lot of rioting. There was a lot of hatred, just murders, people being hung, etc. And I'm afraid, unfortunately, although we've had if you want to call it that, a time of peace, or I wouldn't really call it that, but I'm saying relative to the 60s and the sort of tumultuous time that there was then, since then. And in the 90s, black people really came into 80s and 90s into being able to express their culture And as the 2000s rolled around, it was fine as well. Rap music and everything else is taking over the culture to some degree, and people of all races love black culture. And however, now we're getting to the point now we have a biracial president, half black, half white in this country,